In this episode, we're going to look into Wistia's The State of Video report for 2023 right after this. Hey everybody, welcome back to Watch Time. Today we are excited to really take a look at video in 2023 by looking at some of the information that's in Wistia's State of the Video report. And this is something that we've covered before. They have some really cool findings that we think could be helpful for your business and your video strategy. So we're going to kind of take a look at the report and sort of digest some of the findings and talk about maybe some of the things that we found in our experiences that may support some of the statistics. And we hope it's really helpful to you.
Yeah, I'm always excited when we get to do this episode. I don't think we've always had a chance to review it, but I know we've done it at least a handful of times. And, anybody listening, watching, Wistia is one platform that does this. But, Vidyard does, I think, a State of the Video report, or they put out like a forecast, what they think is going to happen. They're another platform. HubSpot, I think, puts something out every year, too, of some kind, talking about the future of marketing and video. And these are great reports. They're free. A lot of times you just have to give an email address. So is it really free? But,
Nothing's free.
But you get the report, and it at least gives you some ideas where you can start to formulate better strategies for yourself as a business owner. What's going to be the next big fad, or what can I start to do now to set myself up for success later? And, I think they're great things to kind of look at and maybe don't, live and die by them, but make decisions and help make better marketing for your business with them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So for those of you that are unfamiliar, Wistia is a video platform, like
Yes.
third-party service
Yes.
that you can use to embed your videos. So their survey was strictly on the people that are using their platform, like their users and their data. But it does give us a look at video in the industry.
And I do think one thing to off of that to mention, just kind of think about this when we're talking through these numbers. They're good to use, like I said, to try and formulate plans. But as Kathie was saying, it is their users. And I would take some of these results kind of with a grain of salt in the sense of, this is a platform that, you would go and you would purchase as a third-party platform, and you'd use embed codes on your website. You'd use their different systems. So when you're thinking that way, you're already strategically thinking about video differently than when you just release video to YouTube or Vimeo. So understand that the people that they're reporting on, they're already kind of putting together a video marketing strategy. So in some respects, it's good because you're getting input from people that are thinking strategically, but it doesn't mean that every business is on board to do, all these things that they're saying.
For sure. And really, even based off of that, some of the findings are surprising. So I'm excited to kind of dive into this. So just a little bit more about the survey. Their whole report was really to see how businesses are using video and how consumers are watching. And all of this is based on 80 million videos that have been uploaded to the Wistia platform. They spoke to over 1,500 companies to see how the videos impacted their business last year in 2022 and kind of find out what they're planning for 2023. And so it was interesting to look at the beginning of the report because it says that video uploads, plays, and time watched were all at an all-time high in 2020, which we knew with the pandemic. We saw a huge increase in interest in video. But those stats have declined over the last couple of years. So about a third of the companies said that the pandemic highlighted the importance of video for them and caused them to produce more videos. So Wistia was really trying to see if businesses and consumers are just this dip is kind of just them returning to these longer term trends, or if some of these things that people have learned related to the pandemic really did fundamentally change the business. So those are some interesting things to consider as we're going through. And so what we're going to do is we're going to share 10 kind of points or statistics and just kind of see what we think about them and how they relate to our experience. So, so number one is they found that only half of businesses surveyed felt that they had a video strategy, which is interesting because we were just talking about how people that are, maybe advanced enough in their video use to be using a platform like Wistia, you would think they have a better video strategy. But again, only half of them did. And but they did find that companies are using video strategically, for example, to provide product education or, create new videos for new customers. So I think that's kind of interesting. It's not surprising to me it's surprising to me in the sense that, again, this is supposed to be like a more advanced, audience that would maybe buy Wistia's product. But it's not surprising to me that a lot of companies still don't have a solid video strategy.
Yeah, I agree. I think, with some of our clients, a lot of them come to us and they have a need and they feel that video is going to fill that need. So some of them, I think, do think strategically, like you're saying, in the sense of, we need to have a product video, we need to educate our consumers, but they're not thinking about that overall like hierarchy of, videos and how are they being used and the customer journey and kind of laying all that together. So I do think that there's a lot of room for growth for a lot of companies. I know we've talked about it on this podcast, video is it's a piece of content, but, just like photos and just like, infographics, different design capabilities, but, all these things kind of play into your overall marketing strategy. But I think where the opportunities missed with video is the strategic use in terms of like how to create a full strategy for video. So having its own strategy within, your marketing strategy. So I feel like a great example of this is like if you're going on a trip with your family and you're like, hey, we're going to go see the Grand Canyon, but along the way, you want to stop and see the world's biggest ball of string, and you want to stop and see the world's largest frying pan. And you have like this little map of things that you're going to do along the way to like make that journey like more enjoyable or to like be able to experience more. And that's where I think the video strategy kind of fits in, and your roadmap to your destination is your marketing strategy, and video strategy is like the stuff that you're doing along the way to help get you there.
Yeah, I agree. And, it's just going to result in a more successful journey, more strategic journey. And I was thinking about this the other day, too, because, again, like I come from like the writing world and I was just thinking about how a lot of marketers will lay out their blogs for the year or, different social posts. But I think people need to get used to thinking about, okay, well, where are the videos going to fit into? Are they in line with the different events or campaigns that we're doing? So just getting into that mindset where video is another platform that you're going to be using in your marketing efforts.
That's a great way to look at it. And I think for anybody listening or watching, if you're a marketing agency and you're not working with a video strategy company, maybe it's worthwhile to do so because you can have those conversations. I think they're important if you're a business owner and you're hiring a video production company. And, like I said in the past, it's not bad to hire a video production company, but if they can do strategy and they can help you lay that out, you don't have to make them all this year, but you can at least have an idea. I was having a conversation with a client the other day where, I said that, we're going to go through this. We're building out a strategy for them. We're going through a strategy session. And I said, we're going to come up with concepts for videos that you guys need to have to be able to achieve your goals. And we're going to list them all out. And then in order of priority, I'm going to like lay them out. And not just, I said, it's going to be surprising to you because it's not going to be like, number one priority, work with Flex Media and pay them to make all these videos. No, it's going to be like, maybe this user generated content is something you need to focus on next. Maybe you guys need to start doing some behind the scenes DIY, what's going on in your shop, and then maybe a testimonial with Flex Media is important. So this way it kind of gives you this opportunity to like lay out all those options. Then how does it feed into the strategy?
Yeah, exactly. And it can be, it could be beyond a year or, it could be your 5-year plan, whatever. And then you're able to, as budget allows to, you're able to kind of check the next thing off on the list.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
So going into that a little bit more, we talked about some of the product videos and things that people were focusing on. So it seemed a lot of people were doing product education, brand awareness, customer engagement, generating leads, and driving sales. Those were really the things that people were trying to do. They want to educate a customer about their product. They want more awareness of their brand. They want better engagement with customers. They want leads and sales. And they found that the most effective videos to do that were videos about products or webinars or educational videos. And those all really earned the most engagement in 2022. And we see a lot of companies using video for product education. I think that is a really great use because you can, it's just easier to learn about a product when you can see it and you can see it move, or you could see it in use, or, you see customers using it in applications where maybe, you could have the same experience. So that wasn't surprising to me that video, I think, is great for a lot of things, but definitely for product education.
I mean, I think that's in line with anybody that's watched or listened to the episode with the Zangardis. That's why I'm not surprised. Like demand gen, like users, they want this content and they don't want to gate it, and they want to be able to learn, and they want to be able to, purchase products and take their own buyer's journey and not have to talk with the salesperson. So, I feel like these stats, I feel like we're going to see this trending. This is going to continue to be a trend, and I think businesses, if they're not already doing that, they're going to be like, we need to get our products on our website. And I think from a sales point of view for us as a company, I do a lot of prospecting, and if I've ever reached out to you, it's because I've been to your website and I've seen, the content that you have. And I think that there's a possibility for us to work with you and help you make better videos, or maybe lay a plan out. So please don't hang up on me or, send me negative emails. But I've noticed as I've been going through prospecting, it's been getting tougher for me as a salesperson for our company, because there are a lot of people that are making content, so before pre-pandemic, it was easy because you go to a company and say you're not creating any product videos and this is important for you to have, or you don't have testimonial videos and these are important for you to have because you need to convince and convert your customers. And now like I'm seeing them done, which is great. So now it's getting a little tougher because now I actually have to dive into a strategic, I guess, end of things and kind of say, okay, you have this product video, you have this testimonial, these are great, but the way you have them laid out on your site isn't effective for people that are on a customer journey, or you only highlight these specific things and there's more things that you could be touching on to help these people make a better decision. So these conversations get more strategic. So it definitely is trending that direction. Yeah,
definitely. And as you get more strategic, I think that the next point is interesting because it's talking about ROI, because you want to make decisions based off of what has worked well for you. And so I know ROI in marketing is traditionally been kind of hard to establish or gauge in general, but I feel like in an increasingly digital world, there's actually lots of tools you can use to assess your ROI. So in Wistia's report, companies measured success by looking for increases in their sales conversions, by increases in their website traffic, and by more social engagement, like more followers. I know that's something that, we were kind of gauging when we were doing more social posting and just seeing more followers come in. And then, of course, video increases the time on your website, your homepage, and then better SEO rankings. And also, 38% of companies said that the engagement rate, so how much time a customer actually spent with your video, was the most important performance indicator. And I think that it's good that people are starting to look at engagement because a lot of times people were just looking at views, and views aren't always an accurate measure. I mean, we're called watch time because we want to see how much time people actually watched your video to see how effective it is. So that made me excited to kind of see that people are finding ways to gauge ROI with video, and they're looking at maybe some of the right metrics on different platforms.
Yeah, that's exciting. To your point, like, I just think this conversation we've had these conversations, we were having them back in 2016 and 17 and like 18. And like, we're talking about like people that were obsessed with views and how views were a vanity metric. And at that time there was not an effective way to track everything, and these are effective ways to track things. So I think it's great that more people are looking at that. I will say, for anybody that's watching us, I think it's great to track and see the performance of content. However, don't get obsessed with tracking performance, because kind of going back to Demand Gen and Dark Social with the Zingardis, it's a hard thing, or not to say hard thing, it's a trap that you fall into, because sometimes you can't exactly pinpoint whether or not video is the driving force behind your sale, or whether or not video is the most effective part of your sales funnel. And, that's something that I know Josh and I were actually having a conversation about maybe a couple weeks ago, where, it all kind of flows in a weird direction now, and there is no direct path to purchase. There's I think Vanessa Zangardi posted this on LinkedIn, so shout out to her for this, and I loved it. It was the map was all over the place. It used to be this nice fluid map, and then the new map was all scribbles, and it makes sense because you may find out about a product on social media, and then you may go to a website and watch that video and then get some more information. And then you may subscribe to an email list, or maybe you go and you look at testimonials, written testimonials, and then maybe, you're kind of on the fence. And then, what ends up happening is you end up finding a product review specifically, maybe on, if it's a product, you go on Amazon or something. And that's the driving force that gets you to buy the product. So video was a part of that journey, but it's not showing as the part that actually delivered the return on investment. And I feel I understand the pressure that some of these CMOs are under with the rest of the C-suite, where they're you have to be able to prove that these videos are effective. Otherwise, we're just not spending the money on them anymore. So, just realize that it's great that more people are digging into this, but I also sometimes worry that this is the CEO and the CFO and the COO's chance to be yeah, but you know what? That video that you created and you spent $10,000 on, it's not effective. So we're not doing that anymore.
No, I mean, that's a great point. It is scrutinized because people want to, see a direct result. But again, I mean, if you write a blog, which I know, is not as much of an investment as video, if that's just a part of your strategy. Yes. As long as you're educating the customer, you're moving them along in the journey. Video is another way to do that. And from all of those pieces, you may see more sales, or maybe better understanding of your product, or more followers. But there really is no be all end all silver bullet kind of way to assess video success.
I do have a prediction, and I mean it's kind of already here, but so it's a safe prediction, and I'm throwing it out for from 2023 to the future. Video, I've said before, it's no longer a nice to have; it is a must have. And eventually, this whole ROI of was it worth what we spent to create that video? I think some of that is going to start to go out the window to some extent. I mean, I think for bigger campaigns, you're going to want to track it, but I think that the ROI on standard videos that are being used on websites and social media content, I think that stuff's going to start to go away. And my only reason I think this, or the need to obsess over that, is because if you think about photography, when was the last time you've ever met a marketer that was what was the ROI on that photo that we had the photographer take?
Yeah, it's crazy when you compare it to other assets like that,
So I just think it's going to be something you need to have a website.
Yeah.
You need to have photos on that website. I mean, that's why people have brand sessions with photographers when they go into business. They don't have anything they can show yet. You've been to those websites where it's the person sitting at their desk or on their phone, or, they're not actually doing what they do. It's because they don't have any photo assets of them doing that, but they need to have something to show hi, real person here, real human doing business with you.
Yeah.
And I think video is going to be that next step too.
I agree. And I think that actually ties in with another stat that we're going to discuss later on, why it's really a must-have.
Okay.
But going into number 4, so 2022 was also a big year for going live. So 80% of marketers held live events in 2022. And these were mostly webinars, online training, virtual conferences, internal meetings. So I thought that was kind of a cool point to see. I think maybe in the beginning, as people were starting to play around with things, there was a little bit of hesitation to go live, but it's nice to see that, maybe people are getting more comfortable with it and trying something new.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's a good point. I mean, I think the pandemic helped us with that.
yeah.
I do. I think that, I mean, there are a lot of people that thought that they could only deliver their webinar in person. I think that they're seeing that, it's tough. I feel like everyone talks about the pandemic slowed everything down, and it did. I personally feel, I think we've had this conversation, I feel like it has come back and everything is like come back twice as fast now.
Yeah.
So I think now that I think that, for a while there, it was kind of nice, like in the sense of, COVID was horrible, but it was nice that you could spend time with your immediate family and relax and get fitness in and things like that. But now I feel like a lot of people, I keep seeing articles, more and more people are returning to the office.
Yeah.
More and more people are having greater demand and pressure put on them. There's a shortage of skilled talent. So they're spreading jobs out and putting more on people. And I think that having these webinars, the reason why they're so effective and you're seeing more people do it is maybe you can't go to the webinar, but you can attend it virtually while you're working. So you're doing essentially 4 things at once. And then if you miss something, you can watch the recap later. So not surprised, but I'm glad to see that people are embracing it.
Yeah, definitely. I've also talked to a lot of people that like webinars because if they can attend the live version, great. If they can attend the recorded version, great. But it is something that's just very approachable and easy for people to access from their desk or couch or wherever. So it's great to see more people kind of playing around with that. Number 5 was that 60.5% of people said they do not do A/B testing. And to me, I mean, that's over half. Like people are putting all these videos out, but they're not really using it as a way to kind of gauge their video performance. And they're missing the opportunity to look at what's resonating with the audience. So just for people that we have talked about A/B testing, but just for people that aren't familiar, did you want to kind of explain A/B testing and why we think it's important?
Yeah, it's A/B testing. It's also known as split testing. One thing to note is, Wistia has this built into their platform where you can literally drop in, different videos, different descriptions, different photos, and it will split test it for you. I don't know. We don't run enough social ads on Facebook and stuff like that, or YouTube, things like that, to know how that works on the platform because we do more of the content creation side. But basically, some of those platforms may have that ability too. And all that's happening is you're basically having 2 different, maybe it's the same video with a different ending or a different hook at the beginning. Maybe it's the same video, but it has different thumbnails. Maybe it's the same video with different thumbnails and different descriptions. So it's like trying to see what the audience is going to go for. And I know there are some ad options for that where you can basically run 2 separate ads. I mean, this is usually kind of how it was working on Facebook for a while. You would run a couple variations of ads and then you would give them all the same budget, and whichever one was more successful, you would pump more money into that ad spend. And so that's kind of what this is allowing you to do. I mean, I'm not really surprised that it's under that many, only because I feel like a lot of people don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're guilty of not really using it to its full potential with our own stuff. So, I mean, hopefully, anybody that's listening, if you're a marketer and you know how to do this very well, there is a gap in the market and it's time to capitalize on that.
It is. I mean, I guess maybe it's not exactly split testing, but I feel like what we do is just take a look at what is doing well. Like for instance, one thing we were looking at with our social content was that we realized when we shared personal things about our team, those posted really well. So even stuff like that, where it's you're trying different types of content too. I don't know if it's exactly the definition of split testing, because I know it's supposed to be kind of the same.
Yeah.
But just testing different content and seeing do people respond better to the posts with videos or the ones with more about your product, or the ones with your team, what kind of content are people responding to?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That's the way it should be done. I mean, I feel like one thing we're kind of doing this now. I mean, so, anybody that's listening, we were just having this conversation the other day, we're trying to figure out how to utilize Chat GPT within video marketing and video production. So we've been using ChatGPT, at least I've been using it
which
to
is an
create.
AI platform.
Yes, it's an AI platform. If you haven't heard of ChatGPT, you might been living under a rock. So lift that up and look it up.
Welcome to the world.
Because I feel like it's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't hear about it for a long time. And then all of a sudden when I did, like, I'm hearing about it from everybody.
Yeah. I feel like there's been memes. I follow the marketing millennials. And if you're a marketer or you do marketing for a business, if you're not following them, follow them. It's funny, but they're like having all these memes about people like, have you heard of Chat GPT? And they're like, you like just have like, I think it's the Tony Stark, like, yeah. So, well, we've been using that to like write some descriptions and like prompting it. And I've been like combining things, and I've been having it help me with keywords and long tail keywords and hashtags. And I've just been experimenting and, not just copy and pasting directly. I have done it a couple times just because I was curious to see if that changed the performance of things. But, just to make it so it's one less thing that, you have to do when we're putting things together, but then also like, how can we effectively use it and what's its capabilities for our clients? So I feel like that's one version of what you're saying. Like, we're just testing it out. We're seeing like, did the one that ChatGPT wrote, right, perform better? Did the one that we edited perform better? Did these hashtags that it generated, were they better hashtags? So I think, really just, if you're listening to this, you're already an inquisitive person. Like you want to do better with your marketing, video marketing particularly. So test some things out.
Yeah, I feel like that's something we definitely talked about before too. Just people want to get things perfect and they want to do things exactly right. And I think that inhibits them from trying out video. And it really is just, there is an element of having some fun with it and kind of just seeing what people respond to, because every audience is different too. So
yeah, hit the record button.
Yeah, hit the record button and just do it. Okay, number 6. So this I thought was interesting to us, as a video production marketing company, was that more companies are upping their video marketing budgets. Most are allocating at least 10% of their marketing budgets for video. And in 2023, 1 in 7 companies are thinking about making a heavier investment in video. So people are definitely putting more dollars towards video creation. However, what I thought was interesting, a good portion of companies are a little bit unsure or not making any changes to their budget because of economic uncertainty, like are we going to go into a recession or not? And so actually 40% of companies feel unsure about their moves for 2023. So there is a lot of uncertainty with, market conditions. So, I don't know, it's good to hear like some companies are probably like really seeing the value from video or increasing their budgets, but a lot of people are still on the fence about it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like I worry about a recession. Like, I mean, quite honestly, I worry about it every day because, like whenever we have to purchase something, I'm like, was that the smart move to make, or do we need to do that right now? I guess to me, it's always hard. Like when you look at these recessions that like we've had as a country, or you look at like, economic uncertainty of any kind, and companies, I always feel like their immediate thing is like, let's throttle back the marketing.
Yeah, they do, which is really crazy because, I mean, that's so much of like your push to get business.
Yeah.
That's like your front lines.
Let's cut the department that actually generate that, that allows us to have brand presence and help us like get business. Like, and if you think about sales and marketing and Zengardi's did a great podcast on this for their demand and brand. And like, I think Patrick said like, I'm taking it back. I'm not calling it like marketing and sales. It's together.
It is. Yeah.
It is. And if you cut your marketing, essentially what you're doing, like if you think about it in terms of like, I don't know, I love giving like examples. If you think about it in terms of like the military or something like that, you have dispatched your soldiers with no weapons, and that's what you're doing. Like, so, point. I would say like, yeah, you have to be careful because you want to make sure that you take care of your employees and your company.
Sure.
But you also like, I feel like when you run into these situations, now is the time to keep your marketing budget. Maybe don't increase it. Like, people were unsure if they would increase it. Yeah. But keep that marketing budget steady.
Yeah.
For those of you that are increasing, your video marketing budget, like I totally get that because I feel like, it's exciting news.
Obviously we're biased, but no, I think that's great because you're going to be making more noise. That's what your budget allows for. If things are, becoming more uncertain or there is a recession, like you don't want to go quiet. I feel like that's just going to hurt your company. So
yeah. Well, and if you think about it like this, like people that are doing like like in-person events and stuff, maybe cut your presence back at the event a little bit, but then maybe do a webinar, and budget for maybe, just trying to come up with a way that you can essentially do a little bit, I guess, I don't know, do a little bit more with video, and maybe you can even use it strategically to help you save some costs.
Yeah, definitely. There's another way to look at it. Okay, number 7 was that I think this is a really good one because, people are producing more videos, but then it comes, you also have to consider how often are you putting content out there. That's another really important piece of the puzzle. So 60% of companies were producing videos once a month, and 30% were creating videos weekly. And I like to see that. I'm glad. I think like once a month is a great place to start really see some results, because you can't, we talk about it all the time, you can't just put a video out there and expect it to just, revolutionize your business and get all these, it is a strategy. You need to keep putting content out there. And kudos to the 30% that are putting out videos weekly. I think that, that it takes a lot of planning and time. But I'm glad to see more companies really trying to make an effort with consistency.
Yeah, I think that's that right there. Consistency is the key, And I mean we've gone back and forth on how often we should put out certain pieces of content for us. We've talked with clients. I think a lot of it comes down to budget. And if you can have one piece of content a month, then you can get that in your budget and it works, then that's that's great. And then you can eventually see the benefit to that, and maybe you can do biweekly and then weekly and then daily and hourly and whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. But that slow increase, so I thought that was interesting and good to see.
It is tough too. Like to your point, to the people that are doing it weekly, like we do this weekly, and I was, we don't do all of our posting, but we do some of our posting, and I was up this morning on my computer by 6:30 a.m. and I spent about 2 hours posting watch time so the world could have watch time.
Yeah, so. And I actually was against the idea of releasing these weekly. I was hesitant about it. So, I just didn't know if we had the capacity to do that. But we were able to do it. We kind of we recorded a lot of these ahead of time. I feel like that's really key, just working ahead, so that you do have enough kind of backlog to be able to produce consistent content. And you proved me wrong. So, good job. But we're not overlooking the effort because we do it ourselves. So keep that up. Good work, and consistency. Consistency is key. Number 8. So going into video length next. Most videos in 2022
opening up a can of worms.
I know it is. I mean, even within the report itself, when I was reading it, I was like, oh, okay, so short form content is the thing. And then later on, I was like, oh, it seems like long form content is the key. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this. But some of the statistics that they released was that in 2022, most videos that were at least made and put on their platform were short form, and they were under 60 seconds. And then, and also videos kind of, I guess, not as short form, maybe medium form, were between 5 and 30 minutes. And those were really popular, those two segments. But people also continued to invest in long form videos that were about 30 minutes long or even longer, because when you're looking at some of the webinar content and those educational trainings, those were a little bit longer and useful too. So actually long form video content is one of the fastest growing segments and highest performing videos. And I guess my note on this was just, it depends on your purpose. We always say, the video should be long enough to keep the viewers' attention while also being able, or short enough to keep their attention and concise enough, but long enough to tell your story and get out the information that you need to. So, and we've been talking a lot about short form content, and that's definitely growing on a lot of social media sites, but I feel like you can't ignore the uses for longer form video too. It's always a thing, video length. People want that magic number, but it really varies.
I know. We'll work with so many clients, and I think it was Todd Hartley that said this, and I'm pretty sure I steal it all the time. It's like they're waiting for me to like pull them aside and like just like, come here, let me make sure nobody's listening. Let me tell you that
this is a secret.
It is 32.76 is the, if you keep
It's a
it
magic
number right there, like, and it's just, I don't know, like we've talked about this before, and I'm gonna beat this drum again, like. It, to your point, it is the use case, and it is like you are buying people's time. You know, you're not going to watch an hour-long video to purchase a pair of shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch an hour-long video from Nike to buy a pair of running shoes. You know, I might watch, 5 minutes. I might watch 10 minutes, depending on how expensive the shoes are. If they're over $100 running shoes and I want to make sure I'm buying the best, like, yeah, I'm going to watch it. If I'm like, just like, well, I just need a pair of shoes because I need to just run in something, I'm going to run down to insert big box store and I'm going to spend $20. You're not going to get me for 5 to 10 minutes, and you're definitely not going to get me for an hour. But, if I'm going to purchase, great example, video cameras, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to purchase a cinema camera that's over $50,000, like I'm going to sit in on a webinar for a good hour and a half to 2 hours. And, like I'm going to sit there and let Sony or Ari or whoever be like, let us walk you through the features of our camera. Like, yeah, I'm about to drop $50,000. I'm like, walk me through the features of these cameras.
Exactly. I mean, I think that is one way to look at it. Like, what is the monetary investment that you're trying to get people to make? And the greater it is, maybe the more information you got to provide them and the longer the video to get them to make that decision.
Yeah. And that's not to say that you can't have short form, obviously, like, companies, I mean, think about like Mercedes-Benz, they're doing commercials, so, people are investing in buying a Mercedes, although arguably maybe when you have Mercedes money, you don't really care as much about watching an hour-long webinar. But like the thing is like, you need to have a variety of content. So, if you're working with, somebody and they're telling you like, you only need short form, they're wrong. If you're working with somebody that says you only need long form, they're wrong. Like it's really a mix, like you're saying. And I just think that the problem is if videos were free or inexpensive, then people would not care about the length. I do think part of it is, I think the two things that affect why people care so much about length is the cost, whether that be the cost of a video production company or the cost of their time, and the number of views. Because I think deep down, everyone's worried about views. Like, because I mean, I'm guilty of it. Like, I just checked our reels earlier because I was like, oh, I wonder how many views that video got we posted this morning.
I know, we were just talking about it. But like people do look at views or even if you're looking at, watch time or engagement, how long people are watching for. People want to see those results.
Well, and there's value. Like, I mean, like, I know I just like basically just dissed on metrics a second ago, but I mean, there is value in that respect to still check those things. Cause like we've posted LinkedIn videos that are, 5-6 minutes long, and I get a little, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I get a little nervous. Like, is somebody gonna watch this? And like, I've, checked on them and they'll have like maybe 120 views. And I'm like, wow, that's not great. But then, the other day they're 5 minutes long. So keeping that in mind. And I think it had 125 views. And then when I saw the stats come back, it said something like it had about 215 minutes watched. So when you do that math, I mean, I think it ends up being like it's a 5-minute video, so everyone's getting about halfway through, which obviously isn't true. So there's a good chunk of people that are watching it till the end. That's an awesome thing to know.
Yeah, that is where the real value is, because then you are demonstrating that your content is relevant to your viewers, or the viewers that are watching, like that's relevant to them. So so I think that's always a whole discussion. But I mean, maybe some things are like, if you've done the shorter form content, maybe try something longer. If you feel like there's a purpose, like if you have something that would require a longer form video, or if you've done longer form webinars, maybe you try like breaking things down into chunks and doing some shorter form on bits of that on social media or something. So
good point. We do that with watch time.
Yeah,
follow us. Exactly. Watch some of the chunks of it.
Exactly. Watch the chunks. Oh gosh. Okay, so 2 more. So now we're getting into video distribution, which I always think is interesting too, because you spend this money, you get this, you create this video. Like, But the implementation of it is also always so important of, really its success. Like you got to think about what you're going to do with it. So 73% of marketers actually customize their video player before embedding their videos. And this could include things like doing a custom thumbnail, watermark, different coloring. And obviously, again, Wistia is, like a video platform, a video player. But I guess what I kind of want to touch on here is, can you explain, like, I still feel like there's a misconception of, like, why not just put the video on YouTube and, like, put that link on your website? Like, can you explain the advantage, like what a video player is and the advantages of that?
Yeah. So, first of all, like when you're explaining that, I'm thinking like all the YouTube users that are like, I can't customize my player. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, you can't customize your player. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, first off, if you invest in a third-party player, which like a Wistia or a Vidyard or, insert other, I think Video Hippo or there's all kinds of them out there. But
Yeah.
I think the two that we often talk about is Wistia and Vidyard because it's kind of bigger in our video marketing circles. If you invest in that, like that doesn't mean you don't post on YouTube. So YouTube being the second largest search engine and being owned by Google, your videos need to be on there. Great example, this podcast, Watch Time. Watch Time is on YouTube. Watch Time is on Podbean, and then which then distributes the audio version to all the different platforms for listening. So if you're listening to us, we're on Podbean, and you just got it through because we've subscribed to all these different feeds. Like I said, it's on YouTube. It's on our website. We have it flexmediacele.com/watchtime. We have an embedded Vimeo file there where we can swap out the video each week. So the video's there. And then we embed the YouTube file into the podcast, like the actual blog post. So we don't actually use Wistia on our site. And that is a decision that we made, well, I guess I made because there's benefit to it, but it's just a lot for us to post all of our stuff, like to all these different locations. So I just figured Vimeo was a little bit easier of a move because we already subscribed to it. But basically, I guess on this big, long answer.
I asked you like a 30-minute question, and I asked you to do it in like a minute.
So this big, long answer.
Yeah.
So the third party is important, and I will tell you why. So we actually are Vidyard users and we're Wistia users, so we don't use either one for this. But basically, the third-party platform is important because what it does for your website is when Google's bots crawl your site, it first off notices that this third-party content belongs to you. So when you embed a YouTube video on your site or a Vimeo video on your site, that could be anybody's video. So in the eyes of Google, you don't have user-generated content on your site. You are putting content from Vimeo or YouTube on your site. When you put that Wistia video on there, it identifies it as you created this content, you own it, because the only way you can embed that is if you have access to the player. So that's number one. So that actually improves website SEO from a video perspective. You are creating more content than somebody who's just dropping their YouTube files on there.
Yeah.
That's
You're
number
getting
one.
some SEO cred.
Yep. So you get juicing that site up with some SEO. So the second thing is the player, which you can do with Vimeo. And that's huge because you can make it match the colors of your site. You don't have to have the YouTube red. You can have, your brand colors. You can have your logo in the corner. More importantly for us, the reason why I like using something like Vimeo or a third party is because you don't have suggested videos that pop up after the fact.
Yeah.
You can have your videos pop up after the fact or have no video pop up. Or you can put a call to action form that drops down. You can collect email addresses. You could do a lot more with it. So that's really why this is such a different thing. Wistia has some unique features that I really find interesting. They have a platform that when you subscribe, so first off, it may change. I don't even know if it's gone up now, but Wistia is $100 a month to be able to just have the basic user. You can get a free user, but you can't take advantage of all the stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's $100. And then after you hit 10 videos, I think it's like 25 cents or 75 cents per video after that. So you see it adds up. But what's great about it is you can see more analytics. You could do the split testing where it actually, I believe, does the A/B testing for you just on the same embed code. And then they have this really cool feature that I get really excited about. I just haven't found a use case for us yet. They have a embed code where you drop one code in your website, and what it does is it embeds a page that's almost like a Netflix. It allows you to like binge and like watch things, and like it allows you to like choose different videos like from them. So like we could basically have our own little Netflix for, Flex Media content. And it's really neat. And because it's one embed code, it doesn't take long for the site to load. So that's the one concern when you drop all these YouTube codes in your site. Every time you open that site page, you're calling all those codes up and all those videos have to load, and they're coming from YouTube.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that like having a third party player like Wistia having like that page, if you have a lot of videos, that might be worthwhile doing. You can embed a player where you just have multiple videos come up. You can do this through YouTube too, but once again, like you can embed your actual like playlist.
Yeah.
But then what'll end up happening is, you're getting suggested videos. So that's really the main difference. Now, like I said, coming all the way back around.
Yeah.
If you have the third party player, you still want to be on YouTube because you want to be picked up in Google search. So
yeah, I think that was a great, just kind of condensed version, because I know that was a big question I asked you. But just in case people weren't familiar, with the concept of video player, it's again, it could help your SEO. It is branded more aesthetically pleasing. Maybe you're not getting that big like play button in the middle. It doesn't look as maybe almost like spammy sometimes when you're getting random YouTube videos in there. And then you're able to access all these different features and analytics and really assess your video performance and collect different leads.
Strategically, like, what are you trying to do too? Because you can remove you can have the play button.
Yeah.
And you can remove like where you can actually watch the video progress, and you can remove the pause button. You can remove the feature to be able to like speed up your voice, like, because maybe you just want them to press play and just watch the messaging and not be distracted. So you can do that with it as well. I mean, it's a very powerful tool. I encourage people, like, get the free version, try it out, see what you could do with it.
Yeah.
And I apologize for that long answer. It's a Friday here, so we're going to go through some other questions, so you guys can rest your brain after this. So I'm sorry if anyone's like brain is broken after I just did this long explanation.
I think it was important just to cover the bases. Maybe we do another podcast on that. Maybe that's a topic we can go into. So the final number 10, again, with video distribution, was that videos have performed the best on LinkedIn, on YouTube, Facebook, and then Instagram, and TikTok was last. And I just found this very surprising. But maybe it's not as surprising once we kind of look at it. Like, I know in the last couple years, like, LinkedIn was really going to be pushing video content more heavily when they allowed you, to upload that. I was surprised TikTok was so low, but maybe it's because there's so much, it's all video, like there's more competition. Like, what is your insight on that? I'm
not surprised. I think TikTok's low because it's not viewed as a B2B platform. And a lot of these are like, or I don't want to say B2B, it's B2B or B2C necessarily. Like, I'd say a year ago, brands were not, and I think we might have talked with the Zangardis about this, whether it was on the podcast or before when we were like throwing out all this marketing stuff, but brands were not viewing themselves as, or viewing TikTok as being we need to have a brand channel, because they didn't feel like they could be there. They didn't know how to be there. And I mean, I've been hearing video marketers preach this like constantly. I think Todd Hartley was doing it for a little bit there. And people were just saying, like, if you're not on TikTok now, you're missing an opportunity, because, brands are going to be on there and you have the opportunity to like jump in. So I think a lot of these people, if they're using Wistia, their businesses, and they didn't feel like it was time. I think since that time, it's shifting this year. I've seen a lot more brands on TikTok. I do think that the LinkedIn's not surprising, because to your point, like, LinkedIn was really trying to, like, LinkedIn's like Facebook 5 years ago. Like, they're trying to like push like all this
like
stuff.
Their algorithms were literally meant to be pushing more video. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not surprised there. And I think a lot of that, like, we're trying to get some of that juice out of it right now too, because we were kind of doing it, but not as actively. And now we've got the consistency down. And I think that if you're not taking advantage of it, like, take advantage of it post, get that juice now, because what they're going to do is they're going to wait until people are using it a lot and relying on it. Then they're going to throttle it back, and they're going to say, buy an ad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen. So, I mean, again, I think that, it depends on who you're trying to reach and, maybe where your audience is, and, what makes the most sense for your business. But, it might take a little bit of trial and error to kind of see what platform works best for you.
I would say YouTube definitely is like, for anybody listening, I would get on YouTube, even if it's short form. I mean, I don't know about super short form. I mean, test it out. Like I always tell people, like, try 3 to 5 minutes is probably really good for YouTube. But I listened to a couple different podcasts and like video creators, and one of them was talking about YouTube the other day and was talking about how like they're investing in their strategy because like bang for your buck, like YouTube's like, it's been around for so long and it's continuing to be around and it's not going anywhere, and they're doing more and people are watching it more. So they're finding that content they posted 10 years ago is still getting views today. So that's huge. I mean, you could create a piece of content today, and if YouTube is continuing on forward, which I really do believe it is, into the next 10 to 15 years, the way it is, like somebody could watch your piece of content that you put out today, find you, go to your website, learn more about you, and then now you have another, I guess, client or prospect, and all because you created something like 10 years ago. So
yeah, that's true.
Put it on YouTube.
People will go back, and watch. If they like your stuff that you're putting out today, then they'll go back and, take a look at some of your past content.
I have to say, so for everybody that's hung in with us this long, this is like some old school watch time lengthwise here.
I know it's long, but I hope everyone agrees. Like, I do feel like it's important to go through these. And yeah, thank you so much for hanging on with us. I mean, hopefully this gives you an idea of some of the trends that are going on. And if you're like, I didn't know about A/B testing, I didn't know about, like I didn't think about going live, like hopefully it gives you some ideas. Wistia did end by saying that although they've seen increases in uploads, plays, and minutes watched, or decreases in uploads, plays, and minutes watched, like we talked in the beginning, and these levels are still above what we saw before the pandemic in 2019. And so they just say time will tell if the business video landscape changed, leaving us. But it's true, like we kind of don't know. But the only thing that we do know is that brands are planning on making more video content in 2023. In fact, going back again, I think the message here is that you don't want to be left out or fall behind. 69% of businesses said they were more likely to make more videos this year. So, and 1 in 3 is investing more in social media video. So really, if you haven't taken the step already to try doing some video with your business, like now is really the time where you're going to be left behind. Yeah,
I agree. And I mean, I just want to I did when I was reading the report too, I noticed that definitely had that hockey stick where it was coming here and then it shot up.
Yes.
I mean, when they released the report, they were like, oh, well, we actually saw a decrease from 2020. I'm like, well, no kidding. Everything was shut down and everyone was using video to communicate. So not really surprised. But, people's budgets changed and they were back to in-person events and doing things like that. And so they wanted to reallocate the budget so they didn't have as much money to throw into it. So I think, I'm glad to see the levels are still higher than 2019. I think 2020, COVID showed people that video is a must. And I think that's not going to change. And to your point, for those of you that are watching, this is a phone.
Try it out.
Yeah, for those of you that are listening, I held up my phone. Hit record, try and make something. You don't, and even if you're unsure, if you want to invest in video right now and you just kind of want to try and do something to see, start off by making reels for your business. Start off by doing Instagram stories. They're great things to start experimenting with, or contact somebody like us and just, you don't necessarily have to pay a video strategist for video production services, but you could have a discovery call, or you can learn about video strategy, or maybe have a strategy put together. So that might be a little more affordable in your wheelhouse. But I don't know. I think this was a packed episode.
It was. There's a lot in here. Yeah. There's a lot in here to kind of, get some ideas for what your business will do this year.
And I think for anybody that's listening or watching, we unpacked so much and we want to hear from you because I'm sure there are questions. I have questions and I was the one answering questions with Kathie. So shoot us an email, info@flexmediacle.com, and let us know if there's any questions you had from this, because I'm happy to jump back on and do a follow-up to it. We'll do a continued with questions, or, drop us some questions, on the, if you're watching on YouTube, drop it below and I'll monitor that and we'll add those to the list and we'll, start answering some of your questions and trying to help you create more effective videos in 2023.
Yeah, go ahead. You feel free to look at the Wistia report yourself on their website, and we'd love to
We'll link it in the show notes.
We'll
too.
link it in the show notes.
Yes.
But again, thank you so much for holding on with us, and we look forward to your questions and comments.
Thanks for listening to Watch Time. We hope you guys enjoyed today's episode.
And remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes.
And if you want your question answered on our podcast, go to flexmediacle.com/watchtime.